Have you ever noticed these little funnel-shaped pits in sandy areas? These are the hunting traps of a larval insect called the antlion. They're in the order Neuroptera, the same group as lacewings. The adults are rarely seen because they only live for a few weeks and are mostly nocturnal. Adult antlions look a bit like dragonflies, but are weak flyers and mostly active at night. But as a larva, they can hang out underground for 1 to 3 years, lying in wait for their next meal. Here is an example of how the larval stage hunts for food. They build these loose sand traps, and when an insect, often an ant, but in this case a beetle, stumbles in and can escape, the larva seizes on this opportunity. It grabs the prey and delivers a dose of venom. Once the insect is paralyzed, the larva follows up with digestive enzymes and slowly drinks the insect's insides. When the meal is over, it tosses the empty husk out of the hole and waits for its next victim. So I'm in the process of building back up my insect collection, and it's really hard to find adult antlions, and I've heard of people rearing antlion larvae in the past, and I was really eager to give it a try. So when I spotted these little pits on my walk, I knew I had to catch a little guy, and here he is, scooped up straight from his sandy little pit. He has a real chunky rear end and oversized, sharp mandibles built for grabbing prey. His whole body seems to be made for digging, and he even, scoots backwards and moves backwards. So I would like everyone to meet Antony, my Antlion larva. He's my new pet, and we're about to go in a little journey together. So I brought Antony to my office, and I got him some nice loose sand for him to make his hole in, and he immediately did so. Maybe someday in the distant future I can invest in a time-lapse camera so that I can film it happening. It probably exists on the internet somewhere, but he did this all in one night. And so then I went outside and I caught a housefly, and I wanted to make sure that he got it. So I put the fly in the freezer for about 1 to 5 minutes, and then I took it out, cut off its wings while it was frozen, and then I let it wake up a little bit and dropped him into the hole. I tried to give Antony a dead ladybug the first day, and he grabbed it and immediately scooped it up and threw it outside of his hole. So I learned that way that he has preferences and he wants his prey alive. So it was a little brutal to the poor houseflies that had to get their wings amputated, but I would do anything for Antony. I enjoyed watching him eat a lot. I only got on camera once, and it wasn't even that good of quality. In fact, it's rather terrible quality, but it's mostly because he stays under the sand the majority of the time. But you can kind of see his mandibles and his head sticking out in these videos. I found it interesting that he would bite the fly and then would wait for a bit for the venom to take effect. Then I wouldn't see anything but the fly slowly being taken down under the sand. And then by the next morning, the fly husk was discarded outside of the hole, and his hole was freshly redone. He did most of his hole remodeling and feeding at night, which wasn't the best for my observation, but I still enjoyed spending time staring into my little sand hole, my little pet box of sand. And also, a fun fact about antlion larvae is they have no anus until adulthood, so waste is stored internally for the entire larval stage, and it's only expelled once they emerge as adults. So at this point in time, the fly has been completely immobilized, and Antony has his mandibles stuck inside of it, and I believe at this point he is just slurping up his insides at the moment, or injecting his digestive enzymes, one or the other. But you can see Antony's head, and it's hard to see because he blends into the sand so well, but you can see his head and his mandibles are inside the fly, and he's just holding it there, assuming he's feeding right now, and later on he will discard the husk of the exoskeleton of the fly. So here is later in the day. The fly is completely empty. If you were to pick it up, it would just be one dry husk of the exoskeleton, and Antony's just kind of flipping it around all willy-nilly, probably thinking about how to remove it from his hole. So after 4 weeks, I came into my office one day to find his hole completely covered up. I was surprised because I was in this for the long haul, since I heard that antlions can live for up to 3 years as larvae. I was prepared to see it to the end, and either I was just feeding Antony too well, or he was an older larva when I found him, or this specific species develops faster. I don't know. I could probably look it up and find out, but at the moment I'm just content pondering. Regardless, I knew that when the hole was covered, he was pupating, and I was so proud of my little boy. Of course, I did dig up his pupa because I wanted to see what it looked like. It wasn't too interesting because it was basically just a ball of sand. I could have rinsed it off and looked at it a little bit more closely, but I didn't want to harm Antony. And I googled that antlions pupate for about a month, which is a long time, so I had to play the waiting game. But lo and behold, on July 28th, I walked into my office in the morning to find an adult antlion in his little enclosure. I was very excited, but I knew immediately that something was wrong. Unfortunately, his wings were curled and distorted. I'm pretty sure I know what happened, and I feel a little bit like an idiot, but that's science for you. You live and you learn. I kept him in my office, which was nice temperature controlled space with low humidity, and he would normally be outside in the midst of Florida's summer, and so I think his wings might have dried out too fast before he had a chance to properly expand. That's my current theory. I also did not give him a stick or anything to get out of the sand when he emerged, so that's what I think happened. It did make me feel a little better about donating him to my collection, which was the plan all along, but after caring for him for so long, I became a little attached, more attached than I would have anticipated. And when the time came for me to put him in the freezer for his final rest, I was honestly a bit sadder than I care to admit. But before we did that, of course, I had to take a look at him under the microscope. Alright, so the next few videos is just going to be me under the microscope looking at Antony and all the intricacies of his wings. And so the order Neuroptera means net wing or nerve wing, and that's because they have wings with really intricate veins that look kind of like nets. And here you can see the pattern clearly. And if you ever look at lacewing wings, you'll spot the resemblance, and you'll be able to tell that they're actually in the same order. Alright, here's a close-up of his eyes, and you can see in his eyes the individual cells. I believe those are called ommatidia, if I remember correctly. Then here is his antenna, which are clubbed, so the ends are thicker than the base, and that's one way to tell the difference between antlions and damselflies. Damselflies have really thin, almost imperceivable antenna. There's its mouth parts, its front legs with the tarsal claws, which are kind of like the claws at the end of the feet, going back over the wings now. Its poor little baby wings that did not unfold properly. And here I have Antony on his side. He wasn't too happy about that. He's holding on to his unfurled and curled up wing like a ball. So having him on his side, I really enjoyed looking at his mouth parts in more detail. Also, he has those two yellow bands on the base of his antenna, which were cool. I also really liked how he almost looked like have a neck. So that was fun and fascinating. Also, I think it's important to note that I actually don't know if Antony is a male or a female. I'm sure there are differentiating features I can look into, but I'm not doing that at this point in time. I don't care enough. Antony is Antony, and so I'm calling him a he, but that's just because that's what I decided to do. To the best of my knowledge, the yellow flap on the bottom with the longer appendages or palps is the labium and the labial palps, otherwise known as the lower lip. The darker hardened sections are the mandibles, the chewers, or the insect teeth, and the other small appendages are the maxillary palps, and over them should be a flap called the labrum, which is the upper lip. And I wanted to look at the difference between them because I learned about insect mouth parts many times throughout college, but it's one of those things that never seems to stick in your brain. So when I saw his, I wanted to figure out what was what. So this was just a fun little story of the journey I went on with my little friend Antony the Antlion. The takeaway from this is that insects can actually make really cool pets, and sometimes being curious and problem solving can be really rewarding in the end. I think this is a great activity that can be done with kids if you happen to be in possession of some of those. It's a great way to introduce some problem solving, responsibility, observation, and other scientific principles. And I will definitely try to rear another antlion again. It's really easy, and it brought me a lot of joy to see Antony demolish his meals and grow. I've also decided I want to try rearing more unconventional arthropod pets, so if you have any suggestions, let me know.